64 Tacos Podcasts presents Is This Song Good? This is episode 29. Rage Against the Machine, The Ghost of Tom Joad.
All right, so we're back with another episode of Is This Song Good? A 64 Tacos podcast. We're in our cover period. We're nearing the end, but we've got a couple more for you. The penultimate one is going to be The Ghost of Tom Joad, the original being Bruce Springsteen, and the cover being A Rage Against the Machine. I'm pretty sure I heard the original first. Because I remember it being, at least whatever articles I was reading in 1995, when the album The Ghost of Tom Joad came out, I remember there were people bemoaning the fact that it wasn't, when's he going to bring back the E Street Band and make, big rock music? Why is he doing another Nebraska, like another acoustic album? And I think I checked it out at that point. And I remember the song because I've always liked the book, The Grapes of Wrath. And of course, Tom Joad being a character, and it's a lot, in many ways, this inspiration for the song.
I am learning so much today.
Yes, lessons. Oh, you had to read. I'm pretty sure Grapes of Wrath.
I didn't
in school.
have to.
Well, you were assigned to read. I believe it was sophomore year. We all had to read it for English. But you may have worked your way around that one.
I definitely didn't.
If it was reading, you probably made an effort to work your way around that one. I'm guessing.
I probably wrote the book report about the song.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, I think I heard the original, and I know I heard it, but it didn't make a huge impact on me at the time. I was just 16, I think, and then so it just wasn't really where my brain was at. Quiet acoustic songs. And then in I think 2000, the Rage cover album Renegades came out, and I think this was on like there was a version that they played on the radio, which is not quite the version that you got on Renegades, which has a little more overdubbing of guitar noises and stuff, which I think is actually to the detriment of the song a little bit. But the other version was from some sort of benefit album. And they played that version a lot back in 2000 on the radio. And I just loved the song the first time I heard the Rage song. I think it really benefits from like the number one, the Rage always has a great groove, like, with the drums and the bass and the guitar. With a really, really cool riff. It's just sitting on that riff, and then you get Zach, sort of like reverb laden shouting the lyrics, or shouting, just sort of speaking the verses, and then the song really comes to life when he starts like losing his shit, screaming. You'll see me, at the end there. And it's funny the contrast for me between the how quiet and understated the Springsteen version is, and then how like intense and like just like going off the deep end the Rage version is. But I'd be curious to hear what you guys' opinion is.
So I don't think I ever heard the original Springsteen one. And which is strange because it came out like 1995. Was it played on the radio?
No,
or
basically none of it was played on the radio.
That is most likely why I didn't hear it.
I had to go seek it out.
But that would have been right around the time the Streets of Philadelphia song came out, right?
Yeah, he was in that mode at that time for sure. That was I think a year later when that album came out. But I wouldn't be surprised if he wrote that right around the same time. I mean, it was just a year after when the movie came out, I think.
So when I listened to the song for the Bruce Springsteen version, I was for some reason thinking it actually came out like a long time ago. It felt old to me. And when I so I'm like looking to try and find which album it actually came from. And it's called The Ghost of Dom Joad, so it's pretty obvious. But I was like, 1995, you got to be kidding me. Because I was so the Rage version came out as a single. I think it was actually like earlier than 2000, like in 1997 or something like that.
Could be, yeah.
And I was on the Rage Against the Machine fan club or something like that, and they sent me a vinyl single of it,
really,
just for free through the mail.
That's awesome.
And I didn't have a way to play it, so I just kind of hung on to it. I think I still have it with my records. But I went out and bought the actual single, the CD, and so I listened to it a ton before Renegades came out in 2000. And I loved it, and I don't think I think I did know it was a Bruce Springsteen cover, but I never really tried to seek out the original to listen to it. I just was like, well, it's Rage. I like the Rage. I'll stick with this, But yeah, and I think the original one is slightly different than the one that came out on Renegades, like you were saying. But it's so amazing, like what they did with it, and the original, the Bruce Springsteen one is fine. I don't have any problems with it. It's just so, I don't know. It bores me. Like I was listening to it. I was like, I can't really, it doesn't give me the same feeling or the same, energy as the Rage version. And Rage is like obliterates the song. Like they just come in so full force with everything, and the singing, the guitar, the bass, it's just the drums, everything is in your face, and it's got like angst and of course, at the time, like being a teenager, I was all over that, and I loved it. But yeah, looking into it a little bit deeper, it seems like or I guess Bruce re-recorded it in 2014 as an electric version with Tom Morello playing guitar. And I listened to that one as well. And again, it just doesn't have the same emphasis. So I think this is one of those songs where it's like it was sort of before its time, or the songwriter couldn't really captivate what needed to be done with it, in the same way, like with a little help from my friends and some of the other ones we talked about, like it had, there was a magic about the song originally, but it wasn't quite there until somebody else came along and gave it their own spin. And for me, the cover is just balls to the wall, it's amazing. I love it. So
yeah, we've been riding around in the car doing the school run and running errands and stuff with these songs, all these last 6 now that we've been recording.
Mm-hmm.
So it would go Bob Dylan, Jimi Hendrix, Bruce Springsteen, Rage Against the Machine. And Jack asked me, so was the idea in this set to do a harmonica song that they made electric guitars? I thought, well, that's kind of a thing we're doing here, I guess, with at least this week's and last week's.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go the opposite of what both of you guys said. I think first of all, I did learn a lot from all of this. I didn't know why we were doing a song about Tom Jones. Because for
the singer,
until like 3 weeks ago, I was pretty sure that the lyric was "The Ghost of Tom Jones." I don't think I'd ever seen the title in print before.
And if you had, you would make a point to not read it, because reading is the devil.
Right, yeah. I may have read Joad as Jones, And I didn't know it was a Springsteen song. When I heard the Springsteen song, I definitely thought it was from like the 50s or 60s, because it was recorded so quietly. And I couldn't hear anything that he was doing, especially in comparison to the Rage song. But I like the simplicity of the Springsteen version. And I'm not a big Springsteen fan. Like Streets of Philadelphia is just about the only Springsteen song that I really like. So I guess it's fitting that this one I also prefer. But the Rage song, to me, it feels like we've got this. And yeah, they definitely they definitely all along the watchtowered the song.
Yeah.
They brought in these big guitars and all that stuff, but I don't feel like it makes it this particular one better in this instance. Joe Cocker's version of the Beatles song is way better with all the extra instrumentation and all that stuff. But here I feel like Springsteen's more discreet, more thoughtful. I don't know, more passive take on this what's going on here is more appropriate. And maybe that's because I'm just kind of burnt out on Rage. And by the time this one hit the mainstream in 2000, gosh, I was just about done with them. And that's, I agree with everything they're saying. I love their music and their style, but I guess it was a little bit of give a fuck fatigue where it was like, geez, guys, just let's talk about something else for once. Let's mix it up a little bit for once. So
come on, Rage. Let's not rage against the machine.
Yeah, no, I know.
Raging so much.
I get it. I get the irony of that, but
right.
But come on, guys.
All
they did was plug this Springsteen acoustic song into the Rage Against the Machine song generator and came out with another more of the same as far as I'm concerned. So
well, I think in some way they actually agreed with you, because it was shortly after that they just closed up shop and they stopped raging. They're like, yeah, we don't really need to be here anymore. We've done our thing, we've raged, right. And so
yeah. I mean, had this been the first Rage song I'd ever heard, maybe I would have liked it better, but it was just more and more and more of the same. And I just don't care, whatever. I didn't need another of this exact same song. So that's my take.
I think that Tom Morello, as great and innovative of a guitar player as he can be, sometimes gets a little tied up in. I've heard him do some other versions of songs, like covers or like guest appearances, where you're like, all right, let's tone down the guitar tricks a little bit, and the version that I'm sure you guys listen to also, not the vinyl that Zach has, not the original single
right
from that benefit concert, but the one on Renegades. I was always disappointed that they added shit to it. Like it was perfect the way it was. Why did we need the helicopter-y sounds, like the entire song? And it's weird because the simplicity of the original version, just the space where it's just the riff, which is really, the riff is only like the first two beats, and then there's like space, and then they kick in again, and then it's just, it's Zach sounds like he's standing in the bottom of a canyon with all that reverb. And I thought that worked really well for the song. And the sort of like bringing in like more guitar sounds, like all like the chugging and the, like the all these things distract. I mean, I still like the version, both versions, all three versions that I'm talking about here. For me, I understand where you're coming from, Dave, with, hey, I'm done with Rage, so it doesn't do anything for me. I had a period, where I didn't want to go back and listen to Rage for a while, and they have a style, and although they did vary that up on this album, they didn't really. This song is very much in the Rage style, and what I think is interesting about the cover version compared to the original. It's the original. I agree. I love the sort of quiet, reflective, tone. And for me, Bruce Springsteen is kind of at his best when he's in this mode, like in like quiet acoustic, no E Street Band.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite Springsteen.
I agree with that 100%.
He can be good. You know, I don't know. It depends. Like, I also understand people who say they don't like Springsteen because it's very, very distinctive style and sort of lack of restraint with flourishes and stuff. You know, like on Born to Run, I'm like, okay, I don't need to hear Born to Run ever again. Absolutely. But if The River comes on, I'm all for it, and I love this acoustic-y stuff. But I think the one thing that the Rage cover adds is he's so quiet throughout the song that when you get to the important part, you know, he's basically paraphrasing Steinbeck at the end there, like taking it right out of the book when he says, wherever you see a cop beating a guy, you know, hungry newborn baby cry, all that stuff. I think it's really the angst, the intensity, the anger, well, the rage, I guess, you know, to, you know, put it right on the nose there is, it's really effective when Zach starts really, like, you know, going nuclear at the end there, you know, like, I feel like it gets the anger that the people in the book were really we're getting across, a sort of despair turning into anger, you know, that it goes from just trying to get by to, you know, maybe we need to step up and do something about it. I feel that's the only thing really missing from the Springsteen version that I appreciate from the Rage version. For me, the Rage version is the one I want to listen to more often, especially the original simplified non-ornamental version. But I really they're so different that I can enjoy both of them. So I guess what I'm saying is, since we're going kind of long here, I prefer the original, but I really like both versions. Excuse me, I prefer the Rage version, but I really like both.
Yeah, I definitely prefer the Springsteen version, but that may be more of rage fatigue than anything else.
Give a rage fatigue.
Yeah.
I definitely I prefer the Rage version, and it's interesting that you mentioned that, Dan, about the two different versions, because now I'm remembering that I did like the original sort of subdued one a lot more, and when it came out on the Renegades album, I listened to it and I was like, this is not quite the same.
Yeah, I was annoyed.
It has like the extra guitar stuff, like the helicopter stuff, and then I think there's also that like they use the click track, like they added the click track in at certain parts where it's going. It's just it's actually off-putting hearing that, you know, and that's actually one part of the song that I really don't like when I'm listening to it and I hear that clicking. I'm like, what the heck is that? You know, it's just. Sometimes people do use click track stuff effectively, but
I think it's a guitar.
Here,
I think Tom's doing a guitar thing. Like, I think he's. Okay. I mean, I'm not sure, but that's what I always took it as.
No, yeah. You're probably right, because that makes more sense that it would be Tom doing weird crap on his guitar. But I still prefer the Rage one over the Springsteen ones. But I think you guys are right. You know, that it's a different tone. You know, a different thing that's trying to be done. You know, Springsteen is trying to sort of tell a story in a folksy type of way, and Rage is trying to do their Rage thing. You know, they're trying to give a message. And I think for me, like personally, I like the message one just a little bit more.
All right. So what do we have next week?
Next week, we got Johnny Cash doing the cover of Hurt by 9 Inch Nails. So get ready for that one.
Yes. We'll see you then.
All right.
I caught it on audio.